Well, we are going straight across to visuals that we are getting of the Prime Minister inaugurating the Pradhanmantri Sanghralaya. In fact, he is purchasing the first ticket of that museum that is being inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi today. The Pradhanmantri Sanghralaya, of course, is a tribute to every Prime Minister of India since independence, irrespective of their ideology or tenure in office. The Prime Minister, of course, had taken to Twitter yesterday to announce its inauguration at 11 o'clock this morning. The Pradhanmantri Sanghralaya, of course, has been built at the behest of Prime Minister Modi. It is basically a museum that is dedicated to all the Prime Ministers of this country, irrespective of how long they were in tenure. I'm going to go across to Abhishek Kapoor on the phone line to give us more details of this. Abhishek, are you there with us?
Yes, Nupur, I'm there.
Yes, Abhishek. So, Abhishek, this, of course, is been planned essentially to be able to bring to fore the work of various prime ministers in the country. And what we understand is that Prime Minister Modi put in considerable effort and time into this.
Well, Nupur, it's a political statement of sorts. So when we talk of Lucky in Delhi, and if a visitor from outside New Delhi, a citizen of India, a young man, a young woman, child, kid, if they come to Delhi, they see Teen Murti Bhavan, which is the residence and museum dedicated to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, which was his residence till the time he was Prime Minister. Then we have one for Indira Gandhi, and then nothing. What about the other Prime Ministers? We have had 16. So I think there is a great vision in this project. No tinkering has been done insofar as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's space in the Teen Murti Bhavan complex is concerned. That is going to be redesignated as Block 1, and a new building in about 11,000 square meters has come up, which is dedicated to all the Prime Ministers of the country. So while the space which was dedicated as museum to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has been refurbished, redone, made better, it's not removed. Contributions of other Prime Ministers, irrespective of their ideology, irrespective of their tenure, have been brought in. And it's a marvel of democracy also, Nupur. The manner in which transfer of power happens in India, cutting across political divide, the grace, the dignity with which it happens. So why not reflect the contributions of the same Prime Ministers at a space, at a place which can be seen as dedicated to, in a way, it's a story of India's growth, India's development, India's journey since independence. So I think a lot of, under the overall guidance and vision of Prime Minister, a lot of detailed look at minutiae has gone into this project. It would be unveiled by the Prime Minister at about 12:30 p.m. He has already gone in. He is going to start to have a look at it. The pictures show that he has taken the first ticket, all digital, and that's in fact, if you want, I can share more information.
In fact, Abhishek, I wanted to bring your attention to the design of this museum building, which we understand, incorporates sustainable and energy conservation practices as well. So, give us an overview of the thought behind the design of this building.
Well, exactly. So, it's a very modern, state-of-the-art building. Incorporating high tech, I would say, to reflect the achievements of India's Prime Ministers, and through their achievements, the nation-building enterprise of the country as well. So I think if I go to the design aspect of the building, Nupur, it incorporates elements which reflect a rising India. No tree has been felled, and to that extent, it's a green building. No tree has been uprooted or removed in the entire 10,000 or 11,000 square meters. The design, if the pictures are in front of the viewers, it shows hands of the people holding the chakra, which is a symbol of nation and democracy in the country. And in fact, insofar as collecting information of all the Prime Ministers is concerned, apart from various government departments, help was enlisted of the families of the Prime Ministers who are still there, or those Prime Ministers who are no more, their families, then media organizations, international media organizations, apart from, of course, in-house government data that has, or information that has come or could come from institutions like Doordarshan, Film Division, Ministry of Defense, and of course the Ministry of External Affairs, which has a big repository of, for example, gifts that have been given to prime ministers from the time of independence. Archives, for example, with the Ministry of Culture, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and of course the MEA. All those things, memorabilia, felicitations, honors, medals, gifts, anecdotal representation of ideologies and different aspects of all these prime ministers' holograms. And when I mentioned high-tech, Nupur, that is something that also has to be mentioned, because prime minister likes these kind of presentations not to be staid, not to be archaic, not to be boring. So a lot of elements of high-tech, for example, holograms. Remember, technology for his campaign. The hologram is incorporated, not just virtual reality, but augmented reality, multimedia, interactive kiosks, multi-touch presentations, computerized kinetic sculptures, smart applications, and see, a reflection of the use of technology we saw in the manner in which the Prime Minister was buying the ticket using digital means. Of course, not the first time he has done that, but then a reflection of the manner in which this entire project has been conceived and executed under the overall leadership of former Principal Secretary to Prime Minister Nipin Mishra, who is now the head of the Nehru Memorial and Museum Library, which is the key organization which has executed this project, Nupur, at the Teen Murti Bhavan campus. So if a young man, young woman, a citizen of India, a kid, if they travel to New Delhi next time, apart from just a couple of prime ministers, and let's not make any mistake, a couple of prime ministers we always thought of Nehru Gandhi's, because there was Teen Murti Bhavan, then there is the Indira Gandhi's memorial at 1 Safdarjung Lane, but maybe one for Lal Bahadur Shastri, hardly visited, but nothing beyond that. So I think a museum dedicated to all the prime ministers and through their achievements, chronicling the journey of India was the need of the hour. Narendra Modi as Prime Minister conceived of it, and this project has been brought to light. I think there would be some politics, some misinterpretation that this has been done to sideline Nehru. It's not the case. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru's space in the Teen Murti Bhavan complex is in fact refurbished and redone and improved, and it's called Block 1 now, while visitors would also get the opportunity to see the work of other prime ministers and through them, as I said, the journey of India, Nupur.
Absolutely. As you're pointing out, of course, the Prime Minister was the first one who paid for the ticket to go and visit this Sanghralaya. As Abhishek has been talking us through it, there are several facets of this which are very interesting. Of course, we also understand that this is going to be extremely interactive, and this, we understand, has been built as part of the newly constructed Block 2 of the Trimurti Bhavan in the national capital. Abhishek, if I could come back to you. Abhishek, what we understand is that this is going to be extremely interactive in the sense that it actually lets people who visit live through the journey and the turning points of India's history after independence and the manner in which prime ministers have navigated this country through these years.
Well, yes, Nupur. So since you mentioned high-tech, I can, as I mentioned, all those gadgetry, all that gadgetry that has been used to make sure that the museum is in line with the aspirations of the youth of the country today. It reflects the reality of the country today. Remember, we are a supercomputing power as well. Only 6 nations in the world, or 10 nations in the world that have those kind of petaflop supercomputing powers, and India has that. India is one of them. So cutting-edge technology used there, some of which I already mentioned. It has interactive screens and experiential installations, and all these technologies have been leveraged to make the exhibition content highly interactive. But apart from that, as I said, there is a political vision to it. There is this thought that spaces in the national capital should not be just about Nehru Gandhi's. Remember, there are hundreds of schemes, projects, airports, buildings, government offices, bhavans named after either of the Nehrus and Gandhis.
Right.
And we have seen some recalibration happening now, and this is just one reflection of that.
Right, absolutely. Abhishek Kapoor, of course, continuing to bring us all those details.